Good evening, Mark Suttoth, HurricaneTrack.com here with your Hurricane Pro and HD look at the latest on Hurricane Matthew. I'm back in my office and home in Wilmington, North Carolina, which is right up here. And as of the 5 o'clock advisory, the center of Matthew was located just south of the Brunswick County beaches and southwest of Wilmington. Forecast over the next few days has it moving across the southern Outer Banks, the Crystal Coast area of North Carolina, and then out into the ocean where it kind of dissipates out here. After a long and storied history, we'll be talking about Matthew for a long time, and for more reasons than you think. I'm going to get into that in just a moment. First, the satellite presentation continues to degrade, which is expected because strong upper level winds are capturing this system, and they're removing the mid and upper level energy away from the low level circulation, which still lags behind a little bit, so it's decoupling as we call it. But underneath all of this convective activity in here, very heavy rain extending all the way back close to the Piedmont of North Carolina, and that is setting up for something very important that I'm going to talk about in a moment. Also, I want to talk about Nicole, Tropical Storm Nicole sitting out here. Maybe a threat to Bermuda in a few days, but again, that's a small geographic area in a big ocean, so we'll see. Keep your eyes on it, but it doesn't really look like anything too strong coming out of Nicole, thank goodness. Look at the Weather Service map here. I want to focus your attention over on eastern North Carolina. Lots of flood warnings going on, and there's going to be more where this came from. The river flooding situation that will be unfolding over the next 3 to 6 days, and maybe longer than that, is going to be something that will set records in some cases. This will become a bigger and bigger story. You will see it as the impacts from surge and wind calm down and sort of die off, if you will, in the news cycles. Not that they're not important, but what will start to surface more and more is the threat of freshwater flooding from the excessive rainfall from Matthew. So we need to be focusing on that very closely. These different hydrographs show you, for example, here in Chinkopin, North Carolina, Lumberton along the Lumber River, in some of these cases, freshwater flooding setting the record. And then Manchester, little towns along these rivers, the Lower Little River here, maybe the flood of record by several feet over the next couple of days or so. And it goes on and on. Kinston, North Carolina, along the Neuse River, Goldsboro, up in Raleigh, Crabtree Creek. I guess if it was a contraction, it would be called Crabtree. But seriously, Crabtree Creek flooding, and it floods very quickly. This is a very, very serious situation here. In fact, let me just go back real quick to the Weather Service and see if I can back out on this zoomed-in shot just a little bit. And I want to show you the radar here, and look at the widespread rainfall throughout the mid-Atlantic states here. Let me look at the national high-resolution map. Very heavy rainfall extending not only out of North Carolina, but all the way up to portions of the mid-Atlantic states, not too bad, up in New Jersey, Delaware, into western Long Island. But, some appreciable, maybe needed rainfall. But this, I'm going to draw it in red here, this is very, very, very critical. All these river basins in here filling up with water, and it's been wet recently. I'm telling you, folks, this is going to be a big problem. You need to be listening to the advice of your local officials. There will be evacuations. There will be people's lives that are threatened from this, where the floodwaters exceed their ability to survive it. And this will be a growing news story in the coming days. You'll see it first, more than likely, on the Weather Channel, and then on the other, CNN and Fox News, etc. And then the local news coverage will be covering this more and more. And I need you to pay attention to it as well if you live in that region, all right? I will be reporting on it as much as I can from the area in eastern North Carolina, and so I'll be posting information. Be sure to follow Hurricane Pro HD on Twitter. They do retweet a lot of the stuff that I post, and that's great. The sharing of information, that cross-pollination is very important to help keep you informed. All right, that's it from me for tonight. We'll look at what's happening in the tropics, maybe what may to be coming up. Season's not over yet, basically, and we know that not only from a calendar perspective, but also some other things that lead me to believe we'll have at least one more hurricane developing at some point before the month is over, but we'll talk about that more on Monday's discussion. For now, and always, I am Mark Suttoth for HurricaneTrack.com, and of course for Hurricane Pro in HD. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll have more coverage for you starting on Monday.